All right. We're good this time. Practice runs. All right. All right. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, we're back one more time with the greatest game ever made. So it was brought up during the break that this game was made by the same people who make Grand Theft Auto, and therefore this game is also known as Grand Theft Animal. The reason why this game is great is because it focuses on a central mechanic that's relatively unique, and you use that mechanic almost entirely throughout the game. You play as a microchip that has the ability to swap between the corpses of dead robot animals. And then you can inhabit those corpses and reanimate them to serve your own purposes. And you'll have to do this to solve various puzzles throughout different levels to complete objectives. Once those objectives are completed, then you activate the teleporter that ends the level. I'll go in a bit more detail about this run in a sec, but first I want to clarify that this is now an any percent new game plus run. We decided to change it to just make it a little bit faster. Difference between any percent and any percent new game plus is basically I'm playing the game on a file that's already beaten the game and has collected a bunch of power-ups that I can use. The significant difference is that there's going to be less cutscenes and stronger animals at the end of the game. And that's pretty much it. So I've already completed the first 2 levels, and you've seen me swap between a bunch of animals. The first few levels are relatively straightforward. There's some glitchy things that you can do. I did skip a cutscene already. But the next couple of levels are relatively straightforward. I will point out some stuff on the game screen. I've got my health on the bottom left corner of the screen. That's the big green bar. The blue bar below it is the enemy target's health. So whatever animal I'm attacking, that his health will show up in the blue bar. Additionally, there's a green circle and a blue circle. Those correspond to the energy I have to use for my A and B button abilities, and they drain and recharge at different rates depending on what animals you're using. So for example, the sheep has the ability to baa if you push the B button, and the baa ability is useless, therefore it recharges very quickly, but it's kind of cute. Kind of cute. Shoutouts to Flossie. One thing we did miss as a result of skipping the intro cutscene is Roger and Flossie. They are near and dear to my heart, but they are both dead. That sucks. All right, we're almost getting to the good part. This level is unfortunate because it's entirely on a cycle. You just have to wait for this elevator. So you either tie your PB or you lose 12 seconds. Or if you're really bad, you lose 24. And that happens sometimes. It feels bad, man. All right. So during Battery Farm, this is still sort of a intro stage where there's not too much weird things happening, except for the fact that I'm playing as a mouse with wheels. Don't worry about that part. You'll see some weirder stuff later on. I'm going to take this time to explain cutscene skipping, which is actually different than the cutscene that I skipped already. Normally, when you hit a cutscene, such as the one I'm about to activate by hitting the switch, you lose control of your character for the duration of the cutscene, or at least for a long portion of the cutscene. However, if you're swapping from one animal to another, or from microchip into an animal, when the cutscene starts, you actually retain control of the animal, and then you can keep going while the cutscene plays. So technically it's not a cutscene skip, but it serves the same purpose. This is a glitch called hitbox extension. I can headbutt that switch by extending the hitbox of the RAM into unintended places using its headbutt attack. And I'll use that, I think, once more during the run. Maybe a couple of times, I don't remember exactly. Once more, that's significant. One objective is to grow some carrots in this level. It's kind of boring, but you got to do what you got to do to survive. And now you start seeing some really cool animals. I'm now playing as a racing dog, and those are missiles strapped to its back. We'll make some good use of those missiles in a bit. So cutscene skipping varies between being frame perfect and being like 8 seconds delayed. So I'm going to be doing a relatively large cutscene skip in this level, and that will provide a good example of what to expect during a cutscene skip. This is I guess a hitbox extension right here. If I tail whip the scientist, he gives me a key card, and that skips most of the level. When I pick up this key card, that triggers a cutscene that's going to start in like 4 seconds-ish right now. So I'll jump out of the animal, swap back in as the cutscene starts. Now I have control of the animal and can move throughout the level during the cutscene. You'll notice that I can't see where I'm going, and so this sort of makes it a little bit difficult to move during a cutscene. Fortunately with this one, because it's relatively easy to get and it's quite a long time, we've taken the time to more or less memorize where to move. But it can be difficult if you don't know what you're doing and where you're going. This trick right here is notorious. It's called the Leap of Fox, play on words for Leap of Faith. I'm going to teleport into this wall, and it will then boost me up and towards the exit there, assuming everything goes well. Everything did not go well. Do I have another try? I'm dead.
You know what? At least everyone showed up. Yes.
I'll give that one more go, but maybe I'll take a little bit more time.
Well, I used mine.
So if you miss Leap of Fox, there's a small chance that you'll survive. Unfortunately, that time I took fall damage. Fall damage in this game is devastating. It takes away about half your health, and that pretty much kills you, especially if you fall into lava, which is going to take away the rest of your health. I'll try this once more, and it should work. I'm usually pretty consistent at it, but if I fail it again, then I'll do a backup strat, and it will feel bad. All right, here we go again. It'll take a bit more time to set it up. There is a relatively good setup for this trick, but it's sort of difficult to explain to people who aren't familiar to the game. Got it, there we go, in there. Yes, I do. I'm just gonna keep playing. Fat Bear Mountain is the next level. Fat Bear Mountain's used to be a really hard level. It's still pretty hard. There's a frame perfect cutscene skip that you try to get, and you fail often enough because it's frame perfect. But it used to be hard because you had to fight a ram as a mouse, and the ram is really hard to kill as a mouse. And then you have to fight this dog as the ram, and that's also not very nice. Fortunately, we found a way to kill the dog as the mouse, which is normally unintended. But if you time things right, you can hit it from above. Is that really? Shoot, all right, we'll go back. It takes 2 hits to get him. Is he stuck? All right. Doge. He's still stuck. Get going. All right, there we go. Goodness gracious. There we go. Okay, so Missile Dog into a cutscene skip here. I have to play as Evo. Oh, I got the cutscene skip. That is frame perfect, so congratulations. And so here I'm killing a bear during the cutscene by blasting it from above with missiles. And the bear dies right as the cutscene ends. So that's pretty good. Objective complete, you killed some angry animals. Here's another cutscene skip. It's not very beneficial though, and kind of insignificant, but I did it. The last part of this level we call the FBM jump, or Fat Bear Mountain jump. Got to jump up here. Normally you're supposed to play as a sheep, but that's really slow. I want to play as a racing dog. So you jump onto the roof there, and then down to the exit. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Rocky Hard Place is entirely broken. You do a couple of unintended things, and that just allows you to progress through the level very easily. The first unintended thing is getting into this sheep pen while the electric fence is still activated by using a series of boosts there. That's actually not that difficult to do. But this is supposed to be the last thing you do in the level, is pick up a spring round. But we're going to do it right away. And the next thing we're going to do is deactivate the gravity in this level by doing a clip here. If you spin attack at the top of your jump, you can clip over that wall, hit the gravity, and this basically lets you move freely throughout the level, so you can just go in straight lines to complete objectives, and then get to the teleporter. While this is happening, I'll say one other difference between any percent and any percent New Game Plus. Normally, whenever you encounter a new animal cutscene appears, and it explains some stuff about the animal, some stats, and some random trivia, like how long it took to manufacture the animal, because it is a robot animal. They had to make it in a factory. So stuff like that. But because I'm doing New Game Plus, I've already encountered all of the animals, so I miss those cutscenes, which is faster. So normally when you are beating levels in this game, you have to complete all of the objectives in a level in order to activate the teleporter. There's actually 2 levels in this game where you don't have to complete all of the objectives. This is Stinky Sewers, and it's the first of those levels. All I have to do is kill a king rat and bring it to the exit. So I need to get to the king rat's lair, which is normally a long and arduous journey, but I'm going to use this barrel and ramp off it to get into this little vent here. And this is actually not intended. You're not supposed to go through this way. You're supposed to actually go out that vent. And they actually put that bar there to prevent the dog from moving through it. But if you just move backwards, then you can go through it. So shout outs to game design. So now I'm going to rain hell from above on these rats and eventually kill that king rat. It doesn't take that long. So I will be completing one objective in this level, but it's not actually the trigger to activate the teleporter. It's just unavoidable. If I could avoid it, maybe I would, just for kicks. But alas. There is a lot of poop in this game, I will point out. You've already seen some on Engine Room, which was the level with the leap of fox. I dodged it. Rats like to poop, and they have explosive poop. The king rat likes to fart. We'll see some more poop throughout the game, just so you know. So there's an objective that got completed, and then the teleporter gets activated when I step into the room. And there's 2 other objectives in that level, but I just didn't bother. Too slow. So the next level is actually the second level of 2, where you don't need to complete any objectives to get to the teleporter. This one you actually don't need to complete any objectives. I do need to get a racing mouse, however, in order to clip into the mouse hole. And from there I can just get to the teleporter. Unfortunately, the mouse is stuck behind this door, so I have to do some workarounds to get it. So I can lure it to the door by walking to a certain area, and then I can use my fart attack to kill it. And you can monitor the progress by looking at that blue bar down there. I don't want to kill it too quickly because it can die away from the door and then I can't switch into it. But it's all good now. So I hit this switch. I'm stuck in here now because the door's locked, so I need to activate the mouse socket to get out. This is actually going to bring me to the Rat-O-Matic, which is a machine that turns mice into rats. It's the machine that this level is named after. However, I did some specific movement there, which is actually going to glitch the game and cause it to launch me up and out of the Rat-O-Matic as opposed to down and into it. So I can get out really quickly and head to the exit. Saving, I don't know, 20, 30 seconds. There's another way out of the Rat-O-Matic that is slower, but reasonable as a backup. So I need to clip through this wall, and it's actually really easy. That was actually pretty fast for a clip. It's not, normally I have the angle wrong or I'm just in the wrong position and I bash my head against the wall a bunch, but if I'm lucky, I line myself up perfectly and just go through. If you miss, you just keep bashing your head against the wall until you hit it, and it's, you know, no skin off your back. But that level there, I got to the exit without completing any of the objectives. This game, is separated into 4 different worlds: Europe, Arctic, jungle, and desert. I've reached the end of Europe, and it gives you a boss stage. So every world has a boss stage that doesn't actually have any bosses in it. It's just sort of a random weird stage that they put in instead of a regular stage with objectives to complete and teleporters that you go into. This one is sort of it starts off as a Superman 64 simulator. Fortunately, it doesn't stay like that for long. First I gotta fly through some rings, and then it turns into Star Fox 64, and I do some air combat, sometimes against some literal foxes. So I fly through all the rings, and now I'm in a dogfight with some dogs. So I blast them to death. These dogs are pretty easy to kill. You just sort of fly at them, and then when they turn around to run away from you, you run after them, or you fly over them and do a backflip, and then tail them and blast them from behind. No problems. After you kill 4 of them, these rocket foxes spawn, and these guys are normally very difficult to kill. They're a lot stronger than you, they do more damage, and they move faster, so you can't just tail them and shoot them. So I'm going to use a strategy here where I pin them against a wall, and I can use the wall to catch up. So I kind of didn't do my setup properly there. So instead of killing 2 foxes, I'll just kill 1, and then that causes some more dogs to spawn. And so I needed to kill two more dogs instead of 1 fox. A little bit slower, but because I screwed up my strat, that ended up being the faster way. A good time in this level is a 140. Oh, I missed that boost. Goodness gracious. This is now going to be a 152. Hey, got it. Yeah, so that's not the best time, but it's not disastrous. This level has a lot of lag, so at the end you just sort of fly against the wall, try to minimize it. That's actually the end of Europe. Man, time flies fast. But that brings us to the Arctic, and the Arctic starts off with Snow Joke, which actually features some of what I call the hottest new speed tech. It's actually probably 3 months old now, not that new. But we used to play this level in a normal way, and now we play it in an abnormal way. That's a whole lot more fun. When I showed this route off in my stream for the first time, people were freaking out because they thought it was a glitch. And they thought it was like just the stupidest glitch possible, and how could anybody program a game so poorly? But then I told them it was entirely intended, and they didn't believe me, but it is. There's an invisible platform over here that's supposed to bring you to a collectible item, and you can't see the platform till you turn the lights off on the stage. Fortunately, that platform carries you also to the exit, and so people thought that was some random glitch that caused me to hover. It's not. That's entirely intended. This is one of my 2 least favorite levels. It's not actually my least favorite level. It's just the ones that I perform the worst on in general. There's a trick called the cliff clip, and it is one of my 2 arch nemeses. This level also shows off some of the Grand Theft Auto side of the developers. This level has one objective, and that is to collect the heads. There are 3 heads of scientists that I guess have been decapitated, and they're sort of laying around this level. Our partner in crime, our name, by the way, in this game is Evo. Evo is the microchip. And our partner is Dan Danger, hero for hire, 200 creds. And he finds these heads disgusting, so you're asked to clean them up for him. Screwed that up. That was the air half pipe strat. It let me down. Backup strat, that was no good. So this is the cliff clip, and I despise it, mostly because I'm bad. So there's a head, look at the guy, probably preserved in the ice. So Space Station Silicon Valley, we missed the story. There actually isn't a story, but we'll pretend we missed it. Basically, the space station was created in the year, what was it? 2000, I think? And it disappeared 7 minutes after it was completed. And it was designed to be sort of a research station / techno zoo, where all of the robots, or where all of the animals were robots. But then it disappeared 7 minutes after it was completed. And 1,000 years later, it reappeared, and a bunch of Space Marines were sent to investigate. They all disappeared as well. And so then Dan Danger and Evo were sent to investigate, and here we are. That's pretty much the story. The game doesn't follow up on it too much. This trick was called Seagull Kill, but people thought it was too boring, so it's now called Omega Snowball Frenzy. This seagull is programmed to fly away when you go too far down this slope, and the entire goal of this stage is to kill the seagull. So if you manage to kill it while staying on this slope, this is not very good. Normally he'd be dead by now. Then you basically skip the entire level. There we go. There's one other objective, but it's something that you have to complete using the seagull. So, yeah, we basically skip the entire level here. This trick here is called super sliding. It's the first super slide ever found in any game ever, I promise. And now I gotta hit 4 buttons to melt a heretic statue of a king penguin. You're supposed to use it with dead animals. The game doesn't really like it when you use your own corpse as well, so it tries to push it off, but we can glitch it to cause the seagull corpse to hit the button. But that's why you can see the seagull corpse bounced off the button, because the game doesn't like it. But we've already activated the cutscene, so we're good to go. Into the teleporter. That level, so this game has a lot of glitches. They're all actually very easy to perform. Well, most of them. There's a couple that are difficult. But for the most part, you could pick up this game right now after watching me play it and do all of the glitches. Killing that seagull, however, is actually very difficult and is probably the only thing you actually need to practice in order to get sub 140 in this game. Am I dead? Unbelievable. Those penguins almost never kill you. I guess I don't know.
Dumb question. Is this still 80%?
This is any % New Game Plus.
Is this New Game Plus 80%? Yes. Is it still a 1 hour 25 estimate?
We can pretend that, so it will be way sub. It'll probably be something like 112. All right, there we go. What? So that is an example of a new animal cutscene. This game is weird. Sometimes you get a new animal cutscene anyway, specifically with the king penguin, I've found. So that's something, I've already encountered the king penguin because this is New Game Plus and not New Game. But the game is glitchy, don't worry about it. We got a new animal cutscene, now you know what it looks like. I skipped it, so you don't actually know what it looks like, but we saw the start of it. This level is the least interesting speedrunning level in the game because most of it is walking around. You do get to see this jetpack king penguin. He's pretty sweet. Look at that. He can jump really high, and that's awesome. But basically all we use him for is playing this piano, and it's kind of slow. This piano is also relatively unstable. If you play the piano too quickly, the game won't recognize that you're playing the right notes, and so you'll get what's called a bum note, and you'll have to replay the pattern, which is a big time loss. Additionally, if you fly too high before landing on specifically the black keys, the game starts treating them like trampolines, and you start bouncing off of them in random directions, and that's also bad. So you sort of have to pay attention how you move and sort of do it slowly to make sure you don't get a bum note, because a bum note, as you can imagine, is not good. There's about 6 patterns you can get, 6, maybe 7, and they do have different amounts of, they do take different amounts of time to play. This is actually the worst pattern. We've called it Satan's March because it sucks, and it's literally the devil. But each pattern is 6 notes long, so this is the last sequence before we can head to the teleporter. And then we can start speedrunning again. It'll be good. Someone's playing our song. I thought our song was a slamming screen door, but I guess I was wrong. Hoppa Choppa now. Fun level. Fun stage. It's mostly, there's one glitch. You clip through a wall, and that causes you to butt stomp a heli rabbit, and then you use the heli rabbit to bomb a bunch of huskies and some turrets. And that's pretty much the level, but the combat is pretty skill-based, and you can save or lose a lot of time depending on how well you use your ammo. So this is the clip. You basically fly against the wall as high as you can, and then you go through it, and if you do it properly, oh, I missed him. If you do it properly, you land right on the guy. It's not a big deal, but you butt stomp him 7 times and he's gone. So the combat in this game is often limited not by how quickly you can spam your attack button, but by how much energy you have. So if you see that green circle in the bottom left, that's my energy to use my bomb attack. When it's empty, I can't use it anymore. And so because it empties a lot faster than I can kill the huskies and the turrets, it's more important to make sure that all of my bombs hit. So I have to spend less time waiting for it to recharge than it is to actually just spam quickly. So that's combat strategy in this game in a nutshell. Got him. So the other strategy I'm doing right here is a result of that limitation of your energy. I'm not killing the huskies as I go by, except for the last one. Instead, I did a lot of damage to them, and now I'm just going to sort of do a quick flyby to finish them off, and some of these turrets as well. And that allows me to, there he's dead. That allows me to maximize the efficiency of my recharging. There's actually one more glitch that I might get. It's a small time save, but it's a cool time save. One of the first glitches that I found in this game, it's called fast falling. Oh, I missed that completely. Basically, the flying animals in this game have 2 different fall rates. One is if you're landing from a hover, in which case you fall slowly. And the other one is where you slide off an edge, in which case it's considered falling. And then you fall faster. And so I missed the fast fall, unfortunately. It is a little bit hard to slide off the edge as the Halley Rabbit, though. This is the only majorly underwater level. It's called Something Fishy. I'm playing as a cool cod. One day I hope to have an emote named Cool Cod. In the meantime, I have a Franker Face Z emote called Oh My Cod. It fits. It fits. This level would take forever, except for the fact that we can beach the cod and escape from it like that. And that pretty much skips the entire puzzle in this level, thereby saving, I don't actually know how much time, 4 minutes? It's quite a bit. One thing I'll mention is that I did do a controller swap in this level. Normally that wouldn't be necessary, but I play the game with a GameCube to N64 adapter, and that somehow screws up my inputs, so I can't spam A as quickly as possible. The controller doesn't like that. So I did a controller swap for a Hori pad, and because it doesn't have the adapter, I can spam A to my heart's content. And spamming A basically just makes you swim faster. So it is what it is. I'll swap back to the GameCube controller afterwards. I'll do one more controller swap in the run for the same reason. The only thing I have to do in this level, apart from hitting that switch, is freeing these fish. I don't know why, but you have to get, there's no plot. You just sort of do things to activate teleporters, and then you're good to go. A frustrating part of this level, it's not, I don't know, sometimes it's relaxing, but after you release the last fish, there's actually quite a big delay between completing the objective and activating the teleporter. So you sort of want to activate this switch as fast as possible, and that completes the objective, but then you can slowly meander over to the teleporter because it's not going to activate anytime soon. And you just sort of hang out here for a little while. That's actually the last normal stage in the Arctic, which means we've reached the boss stage. It is not an air combat simulator. It's not Superman 64. Instead, it's Wall Race 64. Shoutouts to Wave Race 64. I have a thumb cramp. Goodness gracious, that is weird. All right, so this orange guy is a jerk, and he has a really fast start and steals my boost. So I like to start in front of him, which some people consider cheating. The game actually does not consider that cheating. Only false starts are considered cheating by the game standards. You might notice that the camera in this level is skewed for some reason, and that reason is entirely unknown, but I'm used to it, so it's fine. The Walrus has a missile attack. Those things are awesome, but I never use them during the run. And it also has a speed boost, but in this level the speed boost actually doesn't do much on itself, but these booster orbs do give you a boost, and if you compile that with your speed boosting ability, you get like double speed, and you can extend the boost as well. So you go twice as fast as you would if you just picked up the boost orb, and it lasts significantly longer depending on how you move and how long you push the A button, I guess. Lapping the green guy? Not lapping the green guy. That's too bad. Yeah, so if you catch up to these guys, it's a little bit harder to lap them because they start taking your boosts. But you can. So this trophy dropped, and during this cutscene, I actually regain control of my character right now. So if I do some specific movement, I can pick up the trophy, which I did. Unfortunately, I missed the audio cue, so I didn't notice that. But if you notice the audio cue, you can recognize that you picked up the trophy and carry on. Those trophies are actually body parts for Evo. At the start of the game, we skip the cutscene again because New Game Plus, but at the start of the game, Evo's robot body explodes and spreads to the four corners of the space station. And so part of the plot of this game is that you have to rebuild your body. But again, the plot is largely irrelevant. Right now we're playing as a tortoise tank, so that's pretty sweet. We're going to get that elephant to team kill his friend, and then we're going to hit a switch. So this is an example of an Evo strat. You can use the corpse of the elephant to get onto this platform, which normally you can't because you can't jump. And then afterwards a cutscene starts, so I'd swap into the elephant, and that's a cutscene skip, so I'm moving during this cutscene. Goodness gracious. Is that a thing? There we go. Alright, so I went back and got the tortoise tank again because this animal is amazing. It kills everything extremely fast, and they have no chance to survive. They can't even make their time. These piranhas, they group up, and then you just sort of blast them, and they all die. They're supposed to all die at the same time, but that one didn't group up fast enough, unfortunately. There is a way to get through this door that I just opened without opening it, and that could theoretically save time because the teleporter is activated, but it's really hard to do, and we don't really have a setup for it, and even if we did, it might take too long, so at the moment we don't do it. There's also another thing in that level where you skip the elephant, but it's also very risky, so we don't do that either, much to some people's chagrin. This level has an awesome skip called the hippo jump, and to do the hippo jump, I'm going to have to play as the hippo. I also need to play as the hippo to hit a switch that's underwater, mostly just to complete an objective. This level is basically a giant circle, except there's a wall between the beginning and the end, so you're supposed to go around the circle. Instead, we're going to go over the wall using the hippo. What you do is you prop the hippo up against the wall and push it a little bit further into the wall as the hyena, something like that, and then you swap between the two, and that swap causes the hyena to get launched really high up, and then if you swap back, then you follow the hyena and gain a lot of air. So the hyena actually has a laughing attack which paralyzes any enemy in the area, and it deals not a lot of damage, but you have to use it, so it is what it is. If you keep the animal that's laughing off screen, then you can keep it laughing indefinitely. Normally, if you run out of laughing energy, the animal will stop laughing and you have to sort of spend some laughing energy to get it laughing again, at which point it will start taking damage. Keeping it off screen prevents that. You also saw me jumping into and out of the animal. That's because different animals have different recharge rates on their energy meters, and Evo, the microchip, has a really fast energy recharge. So if I swap into and out of the animals, then the microchip Evo causes my energy to recharge faster than if I stay as the hyena. This is the racing tortoise. He is my least favorite animal in the game. I had to change my opinion about him recently. Well, I guess more like 4 months ago. Basically, you have to use him to kill a bunch of animals, and he's just terrible at it, so it's despicable. Here I'm going to do another trick. It's called gorilla jumping. Slightly different than hippo jumping. Obviously you need a gorilla, but the gorilla needs to be holding an object such as these barrels that you see on my left. And then basically you just run into the barrel that's on top of the gorilla, and then you're good to go. Not dead, there we go. What? How did I swap into that one? You're supposed to swap into the closest animal, but apparently the game wanted to swap to the farthest one. So I want to jump up this wall because there's a magic rope on top of it, and that will take me to the exit. So I'll position one gorilla there, take the other one, and hop on its back, and then walk into the barrel and free the magic rope. Magic rope is now free, and it's going to take us to the exit. It's a good time. I'm going to try to do something here. I'll probably succeed, but it won't be as spectacular as it could be. If you swing properly on the rope, you can actually launch yourself right onto the teleporter. That would be called TAS rope. Fortunately, we have an RTA viable setup. Oh, I mistimed that. Did I? No, it's fine. So I didn't get onto the teleporter directly, so that's called the RTA rope. Not nearly as impressive as the TAS rope. If you want to see the TAS rope, watch the TAS. We're going to do a bunch more gorilla jumping on this level. And I think that's the only glitch we're doing on this level. There might be one other thing. But we got to kill a gorilla. We're playing as a lion right now. The lion's a pretty strong dude, but it takes a little while for him to recharge his roar attack, so we'll just swap out. It takes 4 roars to kill this guy. Unless you're lucky, then it takes 3. But we don't really, it's not luck, there's skill involved, but we don't really know what that skill is, to be honest. So, yeah, the end. So there's an elephant stuck in this tree, and this is supposed to be the last objective you complete, but we're going to do a gorilla jump and complete it first, and then abandon the elephant immediately. The elephant is supposed to take you to the teleporter. The elephant walks really slow, so we don't want that. So get the elephant, and then forget about it. Instead, we're going to use a piranha to get to the teleporter. The teleporter is underwater, so you need an animal that can swim or an animal that will sink. So we'll just carry on from here. There's the second gorilla jump to get up to the piranha area, which probably saves a bunch of time. I haven't really thought about it. It does save a bunch of time. Goodness gracious. This trick, oh, no, it was going to be called the hump jump, but no humping was involved, so it's just a jump. So water physics in this game is different than real life water physics. There's no friction whatsoever, and so these guys accelerate extremely quickly when they're in water. And it can be hard to position the piranha to get exactly on that rope. I've had a lot of practice though, so I got it. All right, jungle jumps is the last regular stage, and this level recently got broken like crazy. We used to do a bunch of platforming in this level, but we don't anymore. And this trick is incredibly difficult to pull off. It's called hyena jumping, and it is essentially the same as hippo jumping, except you have to use hyenas. And hyenas aren't as fat as hippos, so it's a lot harder to do. Probably because the hitboxes are smaller, so the collision detection is more precise, I guess. But we're going to prop one hyena up there. Preferably, I would have killed this hyena a lot closer to the entrance of this cave, but that didn't happen. Such is life. I need to swap between these animals to push the hyena a little bit further into the tree. I think a little bit further. There we go, that looks pretty good. And then I can position myself on top of it, and then again swap rapidly between the two, hopefully gaining enough height to grab that key. We'll see, it's not looking good right now. This saves so much time though that you have to do it. You just have to. All right, we'll go with that. He's probably too far into the tree now. Is that, no, all right, yeah, geez. I think I'm just gonna skip it. Feels bad, man, but I tried. You saw what I was going for. I don't want to die. Instead, I'll beat the game or the level the old route. That trick is very luck-based, I'd say. This trick here, though, is called the key jump. If you ramp off this jump properly, you can grab that key, which normally you're supposed to use the gorilla to grab. But using skills, you can get it as the hyena. Anyway, these gorillas here, you can actually group them up to kill them both at the same time using the AoE of your missile attack. Doesn't quite look like I did it. So this is called the single gorilla. It is very unattractive. The double gorilla is very attractive though. And you're gonna want the double gorilla. So because I missed the hyena jump, I'm gonna have to play as the gorilla and do some platforming that in a world record pace run, you wouldn't do anymore. And platforming in this game, despite it being sort of a 3D platformer, is not the smoothest, especially when the shapes of the platforms are sort of pyramidal like these logs are. It really screws with your ability to jump for some reason. The game also has a tendency to detect collisions where there are none, and it prevents you from jumping as high as you're supposed to be able to jump because it thinks there's something you're going to collide with when there isn't. And that makes some intended jumps that you're clearly intended to make, actually a little bit difficult to do because it stops you from jumping as high as you're supposed to. So that might even happen right here. I'm supposed to be able to jump first onto this platform, then onto that one. That worked out fine that time, but it doesn't always, and it can be frustrating. So that was the last jungle level, the last normal jungle level, sorry. The next one is called Evo's Escape. It's an auto-scroller dart mini-game, shooting gallery type thing. I need to get 12,100 points in order to beat the level. That's actually a trigger that causes Evo to spawn. And then I need to defeat Evo. This level is called Evo's Escape because Evo rebels. So the thing is basically I'm just going to hold B because the B ability for your dart shooter is scroll through the level fast. So I'm going to be holding B the entire time. There's some hyenas down there that I stared at the roof instead of killing because there's a bunch of lag, and hyenas are only worth 100 points, which is basically nothing. So there's no point in eating the lag just to get a couple hundred points. What you do want to do though is carpet bomb these piranhas, which are worth 500 points each, and with the missile upgrade, they're incredibly easy to kill. And you can use the last of your missile upgrade to destroy that turtle, get that turtle with some darts, and then carpet bomb some more piranhas. These piranhas don't swim as low down in the water, so your carpet bombing strategy doesn't work as well here. Anyway, you reach the shooting gallery portion. We're actually going to be aiming for the turtles instead of the chameleons at the back because they're worth the exact same amount of points. And the chameleons are just 1,000 times harder to hit. The goal is to kill four turtles every time a box comes across. So the pattern is 5 turtles, then a box, then 5 turtles, then a box. And so I try to kill 2, skip 1, kill 2, skip 1. kind of a pattern. It doesn't always work, but killing 3 is good enough often. All right, so I ended up with 11,000 coming out of the shooting gallery. You can get all 12,100, but my shooting gallery wasn't amazing. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't amazing. And I also missed a chameleon right at the start. So I'm gonna have to kill some of these scrub animals here worth 100, 200 points each. But such is life. Got him. All right, so I have 12,100. Basically, the strategy if you're going fast once you have enough points is to stare at the roof. Yeah. Good times. There are some glitches in this level, but we don't know how to use them to skip it. So there's some hypotheticals, but way too hard to test, at least given the size of the Space Station Silicon Valley community. There's not enough resources out there, so we haven't tested it. Anyway, at some point, Evo is going to spawn sort of at that far end of the teleporter, where I'm aiming my darts right now, and I'm just going to pelt him a few times and he'll hop out of the chameleon, and I don't know why he rebelled against Dan, but he did. But after this, he won't anymore. Oh, this isn't the greatest Evo kill, is it? So the level is an auto-scroller up to this point. But then you have to, killing Evo as fast as possible is actually one way to save time, in addition to lag reduction. But that was the jungle. So now we move to the desert with fun in the sun. We're playing as what is in fact the coolest animal in the game. This is the armed desert fox. He's awesome. And that's pretty much all I can say about that. And there's the camels. Team Camel is against the run. They try to destroy the run in any way possible. This trick is called the pump jump. If you jump properly, you can get on top of this pump. And I did it. So that was the pump jump. That's the only switch in the game that you can activate by shooting. And I don't know why at all. So I'm gonna activate some pumps here and then make my way to the exit. Normally I do a cutscene skip here, but that cutscene skip doesn't actually save time. It's mostly to prime a different cutscene skip later. Mostly to get rid of the new animal cutscene for the armed desert fox. But since this is New Game Plus, we don't have a new animal cutscene, so we don't need to do the cutscene skip. If you have amazing movement during that cutscene, you can save time, but I tried to make a setup for it, and I couldn't. So here's some hot new speed tech. You're supposed to blow up speakers in this level, like that. And we used to blow the speakers up after killing these foxes, but turns out it's faster to blow them up before killing the foxes. Unfortunately, my Mirage teleport kind of whiffed, so I didn't group these foxes up ideally, which means I missed a vulture cycle here. This vulture flies high and then flies low, so you have to wait for it to reach the part of the cycle where it's flying low so you can start shooting it. But because I killed the foxes a little bit slowly, then I missed one cycle. Feels bad. This level is actually going to feature one more hitbox extension that I will be doing as the vulture. I did a hitbox extension at the start of the run as the ram when I headbutted a switch in the battery farm. This is a small cutscene skip here. Feels good, man. The vulture hitbox extension, because its melee attack is a downward attack, it extends the hitbox downward instead of sideways or forwards like the RAM hitbox extension does. I'm going to use that to hit a switch that's underground, and that's going to save a bunch of time. So there's a pool of lag right below me, so I'm trying to avoid it at all costs. So I'm heading towards the switch, and I'm going to use a melee attack to hit the switch, and then I swapped into the Desert Fox for a cutscene skip. Now I'm blowing up these speakers because that's an objective in the level. Funny thing about this game is that the music on each level is actually coming out of the speakers. So whenever you blow up a speaker, the music gets quieter. And then it starts to get louder again as you approach a different speaker. And once you blow up the final speaker, there's suddenly no more music in the level. So that's kind of a fun little Easter egg that becomes a level objective in one specific level. I also hit one of the 3 platforms there while it was still underwater. That's unintended, but I did it anyway. So a little while ago, I played Ice and Easy Does It, where I was trying to do a cliff clip. I had to collect the heads. I don't know if you guys remember. I said that was like one of my 2 arch nemeses. Maybe I might have said it was my arch nemesis's sidekick. This level is my arch nemesis. Not because it's hard, but because I do badly at it, almost consistently. My PBs almost always have 20 seconds of possible time save on this level, when there's almost nothing that should go wrong, and the most possible time save should be like 5 seconds. So this level is my arch nemesis because I'm bad at it for apparently no reason. If you spin attack while you do a jump, you get a little bit of extra height, and you can use it to land on that platform, which is slightly faster than an old strat we had. So we do it. All right, that guy didn't kill me. So I'm going to jump to the center island here. Hopefully the vultures generally don't get to damage you, but you know, we'll see how it goes. You can actually de-aggro them by moving towards the side of the tower there, and I did that, so they stopped moving and I could butt stomp them with ease. You're supposed to do some weird stuff. I'm not gonna, okay, good. You're supposed to do some weird stuff to get a Desert Fox up here to squeeze through there, but instead we did some Evo strats to do something called a pillar squeeze. Similar to what we did in the jungle with the elephant to get Evo onto a platform. We did the same thing there. So this is a cutscene skip right here. If I get it, I didn't get it. But if I get it, I could have moved during the cutscene to the trigger for the next cutscene. And for whatever reason, if you trigger the second cutscene as the first cutscene ends, you extend your cutscene skip status to the second cutscene as well. These cutscenes are relatively short, and they require you to do some setup, which is jumping out of the animal and then jumping back into it. And they're also frame perfect, so it's not really worth going for them, except for the first one, specifically because you can get the extended cutscene skip. So the first one counts as 2 cutscene skips if you get it. But if you miss it, then you just don't bother with the rest. Unless you actually think you're amazing, then YOLO. Goodness gracious, what kind of a... There we go. In there. Wow. An archaeological discovery. Amazing. Those rib cages are actually a series of platforms that you're supposed to use. After you kill a kangaroo, you're supposed to bounce on those platforms to get to a vulture, and then you're supposed to use the vulture to get to the exit. That is incredibly slow, partly because it's an extended platforming sequence, and partly because the vulture is incredibly slow. Fortunately, you can do a pretty precise jump to get to the teleporter as the kangaroo. Killing the vulture and playing as the vulture is intended to sort of be a side objective that you're supposed to complete. but it doesn't count as an official objective to completing the level. So there was that precise jump. And that allowed us to get here without having to do that whole bogus thing with the vulture. I'm about to do my second controller swap. That was incredibly slow, so I'll lose some time here. But this is Whirlwind Tour, and it is infamous for the Whirlwind Tour skip, which is supposed to look something like this. First try, baby. That is not, it's like, I can't say it's hard to do, but it's 100% inconsistent. So getting it first try is pretty awesome. That skips pretty much the entire stage. You're supposed to take a whirlwind tour, hence the name of the level, all the way around the level as the cannon camel, which is a very slow animal, and it probably takes about 2.5 minutes. I timed it at one point, but I sort of forget. But if you do the whirlwind tour skip, you skip whirlwind tour, and you beat it a lot faster. I used to do something here called the swag jump. Instead, I'm doing something called mini jumping, which I found to be just as fast and supposed to be more consistent. I failed it. Unbelievable. It's actually my first time I failed it. There we go. Those boxes make a big splash when you land on them, and that prevents you from jumping across them quickly. If you mini jump, though, you don't get the splash, so you can jump across them quickly. Additionally, you're only supposed to be able to jump across, the most you're supposed to, or the least, I should say, number of jumps you're supposed to be able to make it across in is 3. But if you do a YOLO jump, you can make it in 2. But the YOLO jump is a little bit slow and harder to do. So this is some, not new speed tech, but something that hasn't been showcased in a marathon ever. It's called turbo launching, and it saves a boatload of time here. Basically, you stack a small animal on top of a big animal, and then you flap your wings. It's not going. And you end up grabbing the big animal through the small animal, which creates some sort of a weird collision that launches you straight upwards and saves another platforming type section. All right, one last controller swap, back to a usable controller. No, the Hori pad is usable, but it has different axis. I don't know what it's called. The joystick behaves a little bit differently, as most third-party N64 controllers do. So I probably did lose a little bit of time in this run just because of controller swapping. When I'm at home doing it, I have a more familiar setup, so I can do it a little bit faster. But whatever, it is what it is. This is the pogo kangaroo. A lot of people think it's the coolest animal in the game, but they're wrong. Because as I said at the start of the desert, the armed desert fox is the coolest animal in the game. So I got to kill this vulture. He can be annoying depending on how he flies. See, at that point, he's sort of out of my range right now because he decided to fly up. Oh, got him again. One more hit and he'll be gone. Got him. And then you can use the vulture and then pillar squeeze and get to the exit. The desert is the last world, and they kind of ran out of ideas. So most of the levels in the desert just end up being get animals that can jump sequentially higher until you can get into a vulture, which can fly, and then that takes you to the exit. It's the same basic strategy, unfortunately, throughout the desert, so it gets a little bit monotonous. But we're through. And again, in the speed run, we find ways to avoid getting the vulture because the vulture is so slow. And we do that in like all but 2 levels, I think. All but 3, I guess. So 3 out of 50% of the levels. So Punch-Up Pyramid is the boss stage in the desert, and it's a purely combat level. If you remember what I said about combat earlier during Hoppa Choppa, when I was dropping bombs on some turrets and some ski huskies, combat isn't about how quickly you can spam the attack button. It's about how accurate you are so that you don't waste your attack energy refilling, I guess. So you want to be as accurate as possible. If you stand still long enough as the kangaroo, he starts doing some passive punching like this. And these punches actually do damage without wasting your energy meter. So that's a very preferred way of killing the camel specifically, because the 7 count is perfect for causing the it's a perfect amount of time for starting the passive punching. And the camel, the useless camel, when he respawns, the first thing he does is he stands still and starts spitting at you, so your passive punches can hit him. It doesn't work as well for the super camel, because the first thing he does is teleport away from you, so you can't really get any passive punches in on the super camel. And then it works okay on the kangaroo, but it's dangerous because the kangaroo is as strong as you are, since you're also a kangaroo. And it becomes a little bit dangerous if he's wailing on your face while you're passively punching him. A good camel fight, super camel fight, is basically determined based on how many teleports the super camel does. He'll do 1 teleport right when he spawns, and then if you take a little bit too long to kill him, then he will do a second one. And a perfect super camel kill then is when he only does 3 teleports, once for each time he respawns. A reasonable one is if he gets 1 extra teleport, sort of like what I did. It's really hard to get a 3 teleport instead of a 4 teleport, but definitely doable. All right, so that's 2 animals down, 1 animal left. The kangaroo is the only animal in this fight that actually matches you, because again, you're the same animal. The difference is you only have 1 life, he has 3, so you sort of have to play better than him. I start behind him so I can get a few punches in on time, or before he can spin around and start punching me, that is. The strategy is to wait for him to expend his punches, and then chase him down and bash his face in. You sort of have to predict his movement, though. And it's a little bit tricky, because his movement appears pretty chaotic, but if you play the game long enough, you sort of become familiar with how it moves. One smart strategy is to lure him into the corner with the energy when you want to heal, which basically saves time that you would normally spend running away from him to heal. So I'm going to try to get some passive punches in. We'll see how it goes. Nah, I got 1, but he started punching too far away. So, alas and alack. 1 is still better than none, though, so that's good. If I kill the kangaroo before the 10 count shows up, which I just did, that's pretty good. So that was a relatively good punch-up pyramid, actually. And this is actually the last of Evo's body parts. We collected all 4 of them. We beat every stage in the game except for the last one, which is Big Celebration Parade, which is actually where the biggest difference between Any% and New Game Plus is, because 2 reasons. 1, there's supposed to be a different battle sequence where you fight a brain. The plot rears its ugly head, and there's an evil brain that's controlling the spaceship and has a shrink ray and is trying to shrink the Earth, and you defeat it. It's really random. But we've already done that sequence, and so we can skip right to the real final stage, which is where a bunch of animals have escaped the space station, which crashed into Earth in New York Harbor specifically. And now you have to defeat the animals before they destroy everything. I'm playing right now as Gold Evo. So depending on how many power cells you collect. You might have seen power cells strewn throughout the game. They're the purple. There were those purple orbs that I neglected to collect and may have accidentally collected at certain points in time. Nice. If you collect all 390 of them, you upgrade from Bronze Evo to Gold Evo. There's also the intermediate Silver Evo. Basically, Bronze Evo is weak. He's got little health. His attack doesn't do very much damage. He doesn't have as much energy to do his attack with. He can't jump as high. He doesn't move as fast. Literally everything about Bronze Evo sucks. And then literally everything about Silver Evo is better. And literally everything about Gold Evo is best. So in any percent, because it's actually faster to play as Bronze Evo than to collect power cells, you end up playing as Bronze Evo. In any percent New Game Plus, you're using a file that already has collected all of the power cells, so you're treated to Gold Evo, who just wrecks these animals. It's almost free. This level becomes so free when you're playing as Gold Evo. As Bronze Evo, it's devastatingly hard. And it's made harder by the fact that you can't see your health, because all this text on the bottom is Dan talking to you, informing you about how much time you have left, about how much animals you have to kill, about you killing an animal despite the fact that you can actually see it blowing up on your screen. And whenever he says something, it takes away your health and your energy bar. So you never really know how much health you have. So you sort of have to go based on intuition, which if this is your first time playing the game, you don't have. And that makes this level very hard. Especially because if it's your first time playing, you'll almost certainly be playing as Bronze or Silver Evo. Silver Evo is doable. Bronze Evo, not so much. You gotta really know what you're doing if you want to beat this game as Bronze Evo. It's not that hard to get Silver Evo. If you're playing the game casually, you'll probably be casually picking up power cells, and you'll end up getting Silver Evo. All right, just gotta kill some foxes here. There might be one more dog too. That rocket fox there, just like the rocket foxes in Give a Dog a Bonus, are brutal, or is brutal, I should say. Their missile attack just does way too much damage. If you get hit by one, you need to freak out immediately. All right, this is the last guy. He's dead. Time doesn't actually end until the text boxes stop appearing and the end level stage, or the end level music starts playing. So we'll get ready on time. But that was any percent New Game Plus. It wasn't the best run, wasn't the cleanest run. Might have been a PB because I don't really play this category that often because it's not a very competitive category. This is the final text box, ready on time. And time. There we go. All right, that was the run. It might have been a PB. I don't know. All right, I'm glad we got this working in the end.
Did they hit that?
I don't think they did. They're not even paying attention. It was it's a 113 something. It's time. Credits are going. We're good. It's a 113 something. Yeah. Thank. Oh really? Oh, that's the last minute was probably just text. Just yeah, easy. So the credits will roll, and the last credit is very important. Special shout outs to hygiene engineer Kathy for keeping these people clean, I assume, while they made this game. You're the best. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm done.